live in hell. I don't know how to explain it. It just changed my whole world, you know. Don't sleep. It's been 6 years for me because, and then the know I didn't get to meet, Elaine. Tough. Excuse me.
Kids represent the epitome of innocence, untouched by the complexities of hatred or vengeance. Despite their occasional nuisances, they embody hope and purity. However, the story we delve in today is a harrowing one, as it involves the most vulnerable victims. In a cruel and tragic event, 5 children met with their untimely demise, subjected to unimaginable suffering. They witnessed the loss of each other, helpless in the face of brutality. What transpired on that fateful night? What led to such a devastating outcome? Timothy Jones Jr., a resident of Chicago, possessed ambition and a strong religious conviction. His path crossed with Amber Kaiser, originally from Pennsylvania, while they were both in Chicago, igniting an instant and deep connection. For Amber, Timothy embodied her ideal partner, composed, driven, and devout. In June 2004, at the ages of 22 and 18, respectively, they tied the knot in DuPage County, Illinois. Initially, life was challenging for the couple as Timothy pursued his education. Despite financial struggles, they welcomed 5 children into their family. Mara, born in Pennsylvania, followed by Elias and Nathan in Mississippi, and later Gabriel and Abigail in South Carolina. Throughout Timothy's schooling, he assured Amber that upon completion, he would strive to provide a better life for their family. In 2011, Timothy graduated from Mississippi State University with a degree in computer engineering and secured a job as an engineer at Intel, Columbia, South Carolina, with an annual salary of around $71,000. Amber, hopeful for financial stability as promised by her husband, anticipated a more comfortable lifestyle for their family. However, Timothy's decision to relocate them to a modest trailer in Lexington County of Columbia caught her off guard. Timothy insisted on a lifestyle that adhered fundamentalist Christian beliefs, opting for Amber to homeschool their 5 children in the cramped trailer. Amber Jones has indicated that Tim believed women should be seen but not heard, and children should stay out of the way. At one point, he even desired a farm full of his children. Timothy Jones Jr., portrayed as a diligent and devout Christian family man, harbored a darker side to his persona. During this tumultuous period, Amber found herself grappling with the most challenging phase of her life, tasked with managing sheep and homeschooling her children despite lacking substantial education herself. She couldn't comprehend why Timothy, despite their financial means, insisted on confining them to a smaller trailer. Arguments between Tim and Amber often resulted in Tim venting his frustrations on their children, subjecting them to a harsh treatment and justifying it by claiming that physical discipline toughens weak bodies. As time passed, Amber's frustration grew as she began to regret her decision to marry Timothy until a mistake she made stripped her of her children. In May 2012, the couple separated briefly, during which Tim's divorce lawyer revealed that upon his return home, he caught Amber engaging in an affair with a 19-year-old neighbor. Seeking guidance, Timothy sought help from family therapist and marriage counselor April Ames, citing his distrust towards his wife due to his troubled upbringing. Allegations of neglect led the Department of Social Services to investigate the family's home in 2011. weapon, finding it in a disarray, but ultimately closing the case. Despite efforts to salvage their marriage, the couple finalized their divorce in October 2013, with Timothy granted the children and Amber relegated to supervised visitation. Timothy moved with the children back to Lexington County and settled in another trailer. Despite scheduled visits, Amber's interactions with her children were limited, typically occurring at a local restaurant. Timothy was investigated twice for child abuse, with accusations of physical punishment and neglect. Though the allegations were concerning, investigators found no evidence to warrant removing the children from his care. Reports from babysitters highlighted the unsanitary living conditions within Timothy's home, with one child even expressing fear of retribution if they were caught receiving food from a babysitter. These reports prompted ongoing investigations into Timothy's fitness as a parent. On August 28, 2014, amidst the ongoing investigations into his parental fitness, Timothy Jones Jr. retrieved his three eldest children, Mira, Elias, and Nathan, from Sykes Gotha Elementary School, and his youngest, Gabriel and Abigail, from a nearby daycare. That afternoon, he recklessly forced the children out of his car at a Walmart in Lexington County, leading to his later charge of unlawful neglect. Subsequently, Amber Jones, Timothy's ex-wife, made a final call to the family home at 7:12 p.m., speaking briefly to one of her sons, Nathan, before all communications ceased. Authorities believe Timothy likely ended the life of his children that same evening.
During the trial, a prison guard, Travis Presley, testified that Tim admitted to strangling his eldest daughter after she witnessed him murdering one of her brothers. He claimed that his rage was triggered by Nathan's actions. Let's rewind to August 28, 2014. Timothy drank too much that day, and while sitting, he noticed Nathan playing with the power plug until he ruined it. He stood up angrily and started insanely abusing and hitting Nathan, and forced him to do exercises until the kid fell to the floor without making a sound. Timothy attempted to move and call him, and that's when he realized that the poor child has died as a result of severe beating. Timothy sat on the floor, trying to comprehend what he had done, stating that he had a severe headache and shed tears of regret and sorrow. Despite being a psychopathic child abuser, he admitted that he did love his kids, but he didn't realize that his mental issues and madness would cause him to kill his own son. However, when Nathan fell to the ground and died, Mira awoke to the yelling and shouting. She got up and went to the room and was surprised to find her brother dead on the floor. She realized what had happened and asked with her voice shaking,
"What happened to my brother?"
Timothy stood up and began to strangle Mira by squeezing her neck, and before she took her last breath, he told them,
"Daddy, I love you."
Then Timothy headed to the children's room and strangled Elias, followed by Gabriel, who died and fell to the ground. Timothy finished his crime by strangling the baby Elaine, but according to what he said during the investigation, he had difficulty strangling her because she was so small and couldn't do it with his bare hands, so he used his belt. The house felt so silent, and only Timothy remained with the 5 bodies, the bodies of his children. Timothy loaded them into his car in order to dispose them. He intended to bury them near the Mexican border, but didn't get there. Instead, he pulled over in the middle of the road in an off-road area, precisely in the state of Alabama, most likely because he couldn't stand the stench of the corpses, so he changed his plan. Despite his children being absent from school and missed visitations, authorities did not issue an Amber Alert due to Tim's custodial status. Tragically, the bodies of his 5 children were discovered in black trash bags near Camden, Alabama, with autopsies revealing the extent of their suffering and demise. Tim's motivations remained elusive initially, with court records indicating his struggles with anxiety, betrayal, and mistrust. He later claimed to fear his children, expressing beliefs that they would harm him. Ultimately, Tim was placed under suicide watch in jail, facing the harrowing consequences of his unspeakable actions. During his trial, Timothy Jones Jr. pleaded not guilty by reasons of insanity. In recorded testimony played for the jury, Jones described the events leading up to the tragic incident, stating that he was not coerced into confessing except for the promise of a proper burial for his children. He admitted to taking the lives of his children in their mobile home. Jones then stated that he put the 5 dead bodies without plastic bags in the trunk of his vehicle. He described how he originally planned to cut up the corpses, boil or burn the bodies. He wrote supposed plans on paper, but he claimed he could not bring himself up to do it. Jones affirmed that the killings were not premeditated. Instead, it was a moment of, "Oh shit, what just happened?" Jones attributed his actions to following voices in his head, including a demonic gremlin voice that instructed him to commit the murders. However, court-appointed psychologists determined that Jones consciously made the decision to kill his children. While his psychiatrists and defense lawyer argued his insanity, Jones sobbed throughout the playing of his confession. While Amber Jones, his ex-wife, testified to his frequent mood swings and anger issues, but maintained that he was not insane. Witnesses testified to the deteriorating conditions in the Jones home, including family babysitter Joy Lorick, who described the environment as dirty, having bugs, unclean dishes, strewn clothes, and trash scattered about. Lorick further said that she attempted to tidy up around the house, wash dishes, and feed the children. She testified that one child requested her not to tell the father that she fed them because, quote-unquote, he might not feed us again. Lorick reported her concerns to the Department of Social Services after discovering one of the children with a black eye. The school nurse also noted incidents of neglect and abuse. When Mira, the eldest child, appeared at school with head lice, the nurse met with Timothy Jones. He commented that he used kerosene, a flammable liquid dangerous to the touch and to ingest, to attempt to kill the parasite and their eggs. When Leonhardt suggested using a hairdryer, Jones indicated that he would prefer to use a heat gun. Needless to say, the nurse prompted further investigation. Psychiatrist Richard Fearson diagnosed Jones with a substance-induced psychotic disorder rather than schizophrenia, attributing his actions to the stress of divorce and exposure to violent media. After 15 days of the testimony, the jury found Jones guilty of all 5 counts of murder. On June 13, 2019, he was sentenced to death, making him one of 2 men in South Carolina to receive the death penalty that year. As of 2023, Jones awaits execution on death row, with a $647,000 as the cost of his trial borne by South Carolina taxpayers. The case of Timothy Jones Jr. is a harrowing tale of unimaginable horror and tragedy. His descent into darkness, culminating in the brutal murder of his 5 innocent children, shocked the nation and left a community shattered. Throughout the trial, details emerged of Tim's disturbing actions and the depraved state of the home in which his children lived. Despite claims of insanity and demonic influence, the evidence presented during the trial painted a picture of a man who consciously chose to take the lives of his own flesh and blood. The grotesque details of the murders, including strangulation and planned mutilation, stand as a stark reminder of the depths of human depravity. As he awaits his fate on death row, the memory of his children lives on, forever etched in the hearts of those who mourn their untimely loss. May their story serve as a solemn warning against the dangers of unchecked rage and unchecked mental illness. Thank you so much for watching. This was Syker and his brother Rafi Akram. Subscribe for more and we hope to see you later. Peace out.